Hello and welcome to the Visionary Leaders Community Call. My name is Arin Fugate and I'm one of the founding members of the Visionary Leaders Collective. And we're so happy that you're here today. Welcome to December. Welcome, welcome. We have an incredible gift from doTERRA that traditionally comes every December. Every year I kind of go, are we going to get it again this year? And they did not disappoint. We get it again. So when you purchase 200 PV, so that's product volume, it just means before taxes and shipping, and because if it's a packaged item, it wouldn't have full PV, but most things are almost full PV. So your 200 PV order will give you free frankincense. And we love frankincense. Does everybody have theirs present? If you have your frankincense, pull it out. I have not done my daily dose. So Dr. Josie, do you want to tell us why you recommend and Dr. Hill recommends and Dr. Mika recommends? Why do we put frankincense under our tongue every day?
So, and I just wanted to do a shout out. I think these are still available, the ancient oils, that kit. And I have my ancient oils here. And so this is my frankincense out of that kit because it also comes with myrrh as well.
Nice.
So frankincense, they don't call it the king of oils for nothing. It's one of the most complex oils in its chemistry. So what that tells you is it just does a lot of different things and it has a lot of action. So you can't pigeonhole it. We can kind of pigeonhole citrus oils. They're very simple. Almost all one thing. But yeah, a frankincense is broad, and it's that broad depth of the chemistry that is bringing us so many pivotal kind of shifts and results. I love the alpha pinene that are in here and the high level of an antioxidant action that is happening with frankincense, and its effect primarily, it's kind of one of my origin story oils for me, and its effect on my brain. And originally when I was about 42 and starting to feel differences and changes in my hormones and in my brain and starting to get that proverbial brain fog. And I was young to start getting that. And I was studying with alternative neurologists, and I was taking a lot of really interesting supplements. They were doctor line and seeing some results. But when I started putting 2 drops of frankincense under my tongue, I immediately, within the first week, saw much more dramatic results than I was receiving from these top level supplements. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. And that's when I really took notice of these oils as medicine and said, wait a minute, I have to dive into this chemistry. What is going on here? So that's one thing. I just love to talk about the connection of a daily dose, 1 to 2 drops. I always say 1 to 2 because it's a thin oil. And you don't want to get wound up about, am I getting 1 or what am I getting 2? Try for 1 and you might get 2. There you go. So, and it's just like in that range. That's what you want. And under the tongue, sublingual is best. We can also, though, I like to get it a little bit on my fingertips and the back of the neck. I call this the highway of our circulation up to the brain. And so getting some topical in as well. And also making sure you smell it, because as we know, all routes, topical, internal use, and aromatic use are different in how they work in our bodies and what they're doing for us. So you want to get that medicine in all the ways, all at once. And it's kind of fun.
I have a book open on my lap, and if you don't have this book, I highly recommend it. It's called Evidence-Based Essential Oil Therapy. And I just want to show you, I know you can't see this. This is a list of all the research done with frankincense. The book Evidence-Based Essential Oil Therapy is by Dr. Scott A. Johnson, and it's the ultimate guide to the therapeutic and clinical application of essential oils. And so I would recommend every human on this earth to take frankincense if possible, for the cellular protection that it offers. And there is a beautiful list of research done to show how much frankincense helps with our cellular health. And so it's just a good daily addition, right, to protect us from, hopefully, you know, like, we can't predict the future, but this is a great protection for our cellular system, which we really all need because of the exposure of toxicity in our environments.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So what we thought would be great to talk about today is co-impact sourcing. And so if you're not familiar with that, I'm excited to share it with you. And I think it'll just be great if we have a little roundtable discussion about what is co-impact sourcing, why doTERRA puts so much into this, so much investment and so much energy into it, and kind of how it came to be. And we can also share the frankincense co-impact sourcing video with you, since this month is all about frankincense. So I think it's important to kind of backtrack. I've been with doTERRA since the beginning, so I've been able to watch this progression. And what I think is important to note here is when the owners of doTERRA got together and said, we're going to start an essential oil company, and their mission was to find the purest, most medicinal essential oils they could. They each had experience with essential oils, and they each had their own stories. David Sterling specifically had a story with frankincense because his daughter Lacey suffered from seizures, and he had discovered frankincense and it helped. And then he lost his frankincense source, his pure frankincense source. So it was really important to him that he found pure medicinal frankincense for his daughter. And then, of course, it expanded out into the world. So that seems easy enough, right? Start an essential oil company and get some pure oils. Well, it took them 6 months just to find lemon, just to find pure lemon. And we would think pure lemon essential oil, that must be easy. But when you start to dig into the sourcing and the cultivation of plants, what you often find is pesticides, fertilizers, GMOs, heavy metals. And then when we have essential oils, you find adulterants. So the essential oils can be adulterated. So it's just, I think, really important for us all to realize 6 months just to find lemon essential oil, which we probably use without even thinking about it. We're like, it's abundant, it's cheap, it's everywhere. But the care that doTERRA took to make sure that they found a pure one was incredible to me. So then as they started to find all of the essential oils, what they began to discover was oftentimes the purest, most beautiful essential oil that would meet their standards, it oftentimes was being grown and cultivated in a third world country by people who were also lacking in fresh water. Maybe they were lacking schools, maybe they were lacking hospitals. They had oftentimes been taken advantage of by essential oil brokers and middlemen. And doTERRA just started to uncover this. I almost call it a Pandora's box. I don't know, Ariana, Josie, do you have a better word for that? They kind of went, uh-oh, we stepped in a big pile of crap. And we now love these oils. We depend on these oils. We have families that depend on these oils. So doTERRA took it upon themselves to go, how are we going to figure this out? And fair trade was not the answer. Neither was organic. Have you ever had somebody ask, are the oils organic? Are the oils fair trade? And I hope we have a discussion about this today of why that isn't necessarily the answer. What doTERRA found was the answer was for them to create, first of all, their own standard of testing that became certified, pure, tested grade essential oils. So they knew the oils were pure. And then their own standard of, I guess, fair trade or sustainable, which is called co-impact sourcing. And almost every essential oil we have has a co-impact sourcing story. We're going to show you where you can go and learn those. But today we really wanted to dive a bit into frankincense. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-hosts if there's anything you want to add there, and I will go pull up the frankincense video.
Sure, and I can just elaborate a little bit. So just for instance, for organic, one thing about organic is that is going to be regulated depending on the country, state, area that you're working in. And so having a global organic label isn't existent. It doesn't work. There's going to be different standards. And so when you're globally sourcing something, that's why that becomes a moot point. There's also a lot of it's really sad because when you think organic, you're thinking, okay, this is free of these chemicals, but often it's not that straightforward, where there's these, because of, I believe, greed, there's these loopholes where it can be, they can call it organic. It can be like 70% organic and 30% not organic. I don't remember, I'm not a numbers person, so don't quote me on those numbers, but Josie, go ahead. It can be really wiggly, right? Like it's.
Yeah. I have looked into this, and it's that the organic label applies to the growing of the substance. Mm-hmm. So if you have essential oil made from a plant, an herb, the organic label applies to how that herb was grown in the original country, right? And those labeling laws with organic, that stops as soon as you then distill that plant into an essential oil. There's no labeling laws around essential oils as organic. And so that it's anywhere from 5 up to 20% additives can be put into an essential oil if then the remaining between, it's between 95 to 80% of it is grown organically in the material. So that's a pretty big margin of up to 20%.
Thank you for that correction. I was incorrect.
Yeah.
But I knew it was about that chunk. I apologize for my error on that.
No, it's fine. And so that's where that's squeaking in. I mean, when we talk about the purity of oils, it's adding in synthetic delimining to a lemon oil or any of the citrus oils. And that is then that additive of that main medicinal constituent that is not natural and not from the herb, but is synthetic, completely changes the entire chemistry and the way that thing acts in your body and what it is doing. And that can be labeled organic. And then they can say, oh my God, look at our really high level of, linalool for lavender, delimining for a citrus oil, and it's organic. And this is great. And this oil is not going to act in the true ways that we speak of when we speak of it medicinally. And it's actually potentially can cause real harm and havoc with those synthetic additives, let alone pesticides and contaminants and things like that.
I have a simple story, and then I know we're going to move on to the video, but I have a friend who was using doTERRA oils, and she ran out of her lavender and she burned her hand. She actually called to tell me this. She said, I know you said to only use doTERRA, but I ran out and I went to New Seasons. It's just natural food grocers here in our area. And I bought an organic lavender, and she poured it on her burn. And I've used lavender on my burns, and it's worked phenomenally with the doTERRA oil. She poured it on her burn, and it hurt, and it made her burn it much, much, much worse, right? So that part of the education is so important, right? Because we're saying lavender helps burns, and then here she has this experience where nobody wants to make a burn worse. A burn's bad enough as it is, right? So important.
I also, before we go into it, just because we're talking, we went off on the, why organic? Because I love organic. I want my food to be organic. Like, it's not that
Me
we're
too.
anti that label. It just has extreme limitations in the arena of essential oils. And the other piece is that doTERRA does up to 14 different tests in their CPTG standard. And the very first test they're doing is this, and that's a whole other thing that I love to talk about if anyone wants to talk with me about the real science around doing gas chromatography and mass spectrometry and this great, testing where they pull and they look all the constituents, and it's right in that, because how you do that test's not all the same. So that's the other thing. It's really particular. You have to do it right. And it takes a lot of money and time to do it right. And most companies aren't spending that money and time. And they're saying, oh, we do this testing. They're not doing the testing in a way that's really going to show the results of additives. But in that first big test that they do, boom, if there is any pesticide, if there is any mold, if there is any kind of contaminant from a non-organic field or anything in the soil and the air and whatever, it shows up in that very first test. So all of the money that it takes to get an organic labeling, which really reduces a company's ability to work in developing nations that do not have the money to then have those seals. Organic labeling seals are very expensive for people and for countries to work with, and farms. And so it is a privilege. It's a privileged thing to be working with only organic farmies who have that seal of approval. If you have a test in the very first test that can tell you all the information that you would get from doing all of that, wouldn't you do that so that then you could work in these less privileged farms and areas and help them be able to produce these kind of crops without going through all of the 7 years and the money it takes to get that seal? So that was a very important piece for doTERRA as well, in terms of their ability to be working in the areas that they're working in globally. And you're very limited if you're sticking with only farms that have that labeling.
And what I'm hearing is, and what I know to be true, is you're not compromising quality.
No.
But you are making it available to help the whole chain of the whole cycle of the system, which is the people who are growing and harvesting the plants. So it's healing in a circle. To me, it's taking care of every part of the system, which to me is profound healing, right? I mean, it's difficult to take a medicine that knows, I'm feeling better from this, but it's actually harming someone else on the other end for them to get it to me, right?
Yeah. And I know we're going to go into the movie, but I mean, it just starts the whole conversation of, so doTERRA demanding this of their farmers, this quality, but they don't have to go through all the hoops of the certificate. But if they get a batch of oil that does not meet these standards and shows any type of adulteration, I can tell you, I've had multiple experiences. I can tell you of one in particular with the owners, with the leadership, where they will, at the detriment of a lot of money to the company and to them, they will turn away any batch of oil that does not meet that standard. And they have done that. I remember years ago when the company was not the billion-dollar company that it is, I had the pleasure of having a very intimate meal with the president, David Sterling. And he was telling us the story of how they're really excited because we had, for the first time, I think it was the very first oil that doTERRA had been out of, and it was Melissa. Mm-hmm. And remember that? A long time ago.
It was funny. It was oh no. We don't have Melissa.
And it had been out of it for quite a while, many months, 6 months maybe. And he was saying, okay, I have a little tip. Like, we're really excited. We think we're going to get Melissa back in, next month. We have this shipment. It's exciting. It's coming in. It's just being tested now. And we're really, so don't say anything because we can't, but we're pretty sure we're going to have it. And then it didn't come out. We didn't have it because it didn't pass the tests and they had to turn it down. And people were so waiting to just buy that and like make doTERRA a lot of money. And so trust me when I say that, yeah, they will turn it down.
Yeah. And, you know, a struggle that we can get into as people who share doTERRA. So just give me a heart or say it in the comments if you're out there sharing doTERRA. I had this happen just the other day where I had a play date with a mom that I've never met before. And she's like, I love essential oils, you know, and she's got her diffusers running and she's showing me all the products she makes. And she's using like now, you know, like bad oils. And so how do you broach that conversation? Because it can be really easy to fire hose someone and that will just turn them away. And so this is just my little, as your success coach in doTERRA, what you want to do is you want to seek the people who are moving towards you. So you can ask very simple questions and then leave it at that. It might be, oh, I see that you love essential oils. Would you like to learn more about essential oils? And you wait for them to come to you. And you kind of slowly give them, you're not going to dump this all on them, but at a certain point, they will go, oh, I want to learn about this. I want to learn more. And some people don't want to learn. Some people are happy with their $5 oil that they get at Walmart, and they actually don't want the information. And so we have to learn how to seek the people who want it and kind of let the people who don't go at the wayside. Hard, easier said than done, but just remember that. Ask questions that are permission-based and work with the people who move towards you, the ones who are leaning in going, oh, tell me more about that. And so this particular mama, I gifted her some Breathe and I kind of told her, you know, a lot of essential oils are adulterated. And so be careful using them with your child. And she's like, tell me more, give me a sample. And now, of course, she's going to, okay, I need to replace all my oils. I didn't realize. But it took me really like sitting on my hands, grabbing my butt because I'm like, I want to tell her, I want to tell her. And I just had to be like, oh, would you like to learn about essential oils? It's hard. You can learn all of it and you can know all of it. And then with confidence, you can say, a doTERRA is different. But I would wait until you have permission before you really unload all this stuff we're going to unload on you today, because we have your permission. You're sitting here with us. So I would love to just show you where you go to find all these beautiful co-impact sourcing stories. It is a website called Source to You. And you can see here, we have eucalyptus and Spanish sage and guaiac wood. By the way, Ariana is going to be teaching about guaiac wood on the Oils A to Z call coming up, not next week, but the following week. So you'll want to tune in for that.
And I want to just say one little thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Erin.
Yeah.
Guaiac wood is a beautiful companion to frankincense and myrrh. It's right up there with these oils. So it's like if they were all hanging out together, I imagine them all hanging out together with some of their medicinal properties. So I
love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love, we got to save it for the guaiac wood call, but guaiac wood and serenity in the diffuser at night. One of my favorites. So you can go down, you can have so much fun learning about these oils and their co-impact sourcing stories. You could teach classes just about co-impact sourcing and these stories. And so I invite you to spend time on this website. You'll see that when we come to frankincense and you click on frankincense, they're going to give you so much information. Where does it come from? Oman, Somaliland, Ethiopia. How many people have been empowered because of the jobs we create? 7,611 people. How many lives supported by your purchases of frankincense? 34,782 people. Then it just goes into more about the production. And we're going to watch this little video if you are ready. Oh, I thought I could make it big from there. Okay, we'll do this.
waa geed markiisa hore aan laf lahayn xidid badanna dhulka ka siin wuxuu ka dhex baxaa geed dushii dhagax dushii meel bannaan oo hawl yar kuma yaal waa meel dhib buu ku yaal.
This is behind the bottle.
anigu naftaydu waxa la yidhaha cabdillaahi saciid cawaad caraale deganahayna madarmaga ka tirsan gobolka sanaag inankana anaa dhalo maxamed cabdillaahi baa la yidhahdo anaa dhalo waa ilaa maanta haddaran waa annagoo soo iminka un soo xironnay oo buurtii ka nimi dhirta kale manafacaadka loo macaamilo manafacaadka geedkan laga helo marka marraba kama waaysan marka dhirta kale waxay kaga bedelan tahay manafacaad badan baa ku jira maray xidhneedaan waxba lagu bay jirtay maray inta kaba qiimo sarraysaa jirtay marka ilaa 3 awow bay soo manafacadsanayeen kusoo dhaqmayeen dhibaatadaas waa dhibaato xun laakiin dadka leh dhibaatadaas waa dhibaato xun mar haddii geed ku dhinto waxaana keenaysaa abaaraha iyo haddii sidii loo gurisay wax laga bedelo dhibasho waa waninka uu dhex jooga si uu tusaalaha uu ku siiyo ayuunbuu tusaya dabadeed saasa magaabta loo jaray lama cadgoynayo inaan ilaaliyo geedkan oo aan wixii xunba ka ilaalin karo iyadoo dadkuba isku duwan yahaan waxba kala lahayn ka geedka saasaan u ilaaliyo
I love those videos. They're so good. It's so wonderful just to make that connection between the people behind the bottle. When I use that bottle of frankincense, I can now think of those individuals in the Sanag region. And this is only the tip. So when you start to dive into, well, what else is doTERRA doing there? Do one of you ladies want to talk about the hospital aspect of frankincense?
Yeah, I can start.
Okay.
I mean, it was a massive undertaking, and I'm not sure the amount, it was at least 3 years. And I think it's still ongoing, but one of the things that the community identified for doTERRA was that there really was no hospital in the entire, I don't know if it's a quarter or a third of the country, like region, the Sanag region. And it over 600,000 people had no access to hospitals or doctors. And so that was, they kind of started on this project of building this Sanag hospital. And nothing like this has been done in, I don't know, it was huge. And so they have it now, this hospital, and it services that a region. I forget the mileage. It's huge. It's a big portion of the country, and it's changing many lives. And so to be able to then bring that and a kind of connection and working together in the community for the people who live there and the lives. I love that how the Healing Hands then weaves in with the co-impact sourcing and together creating these kind of initiatives in the communities and really asking, what do you need? What kind of service could we help with? And it's different in the different areas and regions.
And I think that's really powerful and important to highlight too, when we go into other communities, to ask questions and listen and be in communication of coming in with respect and saying, what do you need? Opposed to, we're going to tell you how it is and what you need. That's such a colonialistic, arrogant way to approach a culture. And so I really love the collaboration that doTERRA does and the conversations that they have with the community. Because if you don't listen to the people of the area, how will you know? You'll be assuming and putting your agenda on. And so this is a business, of course, but there's a collaboration happening, because ultimately doTERRA knows that if the community is vibrant, it's also a company that doesn't go in with short-term goals. It doesn't go in like, we're going to come in and take your frankincense and get a batch and make a whole bunch of money and leave. We're going to be here for years and years to come. And so they're doing so much work around the world in Hawaii to plant sandalwood trees that won't be ready for quite some time, right? So it's investing in that future, just like that man was speaking to his son and showing children, we have to learn and teach our youth how to take care of our planet, because if we don't, just like those frankincense trees, they'll be depleted and we won't be able to gather the medicine from them. That community won't be able to make the money they need or get the resources they need to survive. And ultimately, on a bigger issue, if we don't start learning this, our planet will struggle to survive, as we're seeing. So I love this micro and macro example of how to do business in this world. And I think that for me, that's one of the deep passions when I joined this company, was these ideas, these things that are so important to my heart on like a business practice,
Do we have any questions or comments from the community about co-impact sourcing? We'd love to open it up for that. You can put it in the chat. I'll check over on Facebook, or anyone who's on camera, you're welcome to speak.
I think one of the most classic combinations that I learned with frankincense and a diffuser is frankincense and wild orange, and I still think it's one of my favorite combinations.
Yes, we can also move on to talking about frankincense protocols and testimonies and ways you can use it.
I just wanted to say sort of one thing of edifying doTERRA's work in Somaliland and with the Sinag Hospital is the fact that, was it 2 years ago? When did we had Dr. Hawa Abdi, who is the Nobel Peace Laureate winner from Somali, and she is a doctor, and she's considered kind of, what I was looking up, what they had a name for her, if they call her Mama Hawa, and just beloved leader of the Somali people. She was invited by doTERRA to be our speaker, and I can't believe it. She said yes, and she came to Salt Lake City, and she was the guest grand speaker, and she did it because she wanted to edify that and say, this company is doing exactly the right thing in our country. And it's like, it was her stamp of approval and sort of saying, look, this is how it should be done. So that was just hugely powerful for me.
And you can actually find her talk on YouTube. I'll put it in the show notes. She was amazing.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Josie for really clarifying about the organic and the oils, and how, it starts with the plant, and then we go into the testing of the actual purity of the oils and after the distillation. So that was a good clarification, because I've had a number of people say, well, I always buy organic oils, and they're not really knowing the whole story. And so that was really good clarification between you and Ariana. Thank you.
Well, and it's great to know, right? I mean, if you see an oil, I'm sure we've all seen them. I've seen, a whole diffuser and kits offered at Costco and Walmart and these places, and they're cheap. And, people, if you don't know better, it's like, well, why would I pay more money for this when I can get it here for, why I can get a bottle of oil for $5, it smells good. So, and another thing that I do, I worked with someone in the past who had oils that she was really attached to, excuse me. And I said, I would love to get your opinion. Like, let's compare oils and smell them and experience them. And I was really open. I didn't know what she would like better. I just said, can I bring my oils over and share them with you? And she ended up really preferring the doTERRA oils. So, I love what you said, Erin, about, and I never want to fire hose someone. I don't want to be disrespectful for the choices they've made or belittle them for what they're doing by any means. But I just often will be like, well, let me give you a sample of this, or, if they're open, if I get permission, it would be more like, can I give you a sample? But I think that's another way to approach it too, and to have that information, right? So that you know how to explain what the difference is. And one frankincense protocol that I have, it's actually more than frankincense, but if you're not doing it already, my father died of cancer, and on his deathbed, he said to me, hey kid, promise me you'll never get this disease. And I remember thinking at that time, Dad, how can I make that promise to you? Like, I don't want to get it. You didn't want to get it, but it's scary and it's here. And so something I do in honor of my dad and myself is I take DDR Prime daily. I like it in the capsules. I like to diffuse it as well. And I'm mentioning that because it has frankincense in it. And it also has an amazing blend of oils that help our cellular health. So that's one simple thing that we can do on a daily basis to protect our bodies. And that would be my recommendation. And you can also just do, if you don't want to do the DDR, or if you want to do both, the frankincense sublingually under your tongue, like we talked about at the beginning of this call. Beautiful practice in the morning and at night. And it's going to help so much more than just your cells. I mean, it's going to help your memory. It's going to help your mood. If you tend to get a little blue around the holidays, or in the northern region, we're here in winter, frankincense is going to help lift your spirits. So smell it for sure.
I've been 3 days now practicing a daily kind of energy cleaning practice meditation, and I'm bringing the oils into it. It was taught to me by an energy healer, and I'm noticing such a lovely result of that. So something I want to remind people of is the oils can be this really great break in your day, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It can be something that you do as a habit, like you wake up every morning and do a little aromatherapy meditation, but it can also be something you grab when you're feeling mad or stressed out or sad, or you've had a difficult interaction with someone, or you're feeling depleted. And I love to do it with frankincense. So I just want to show you what I do, because it's so easy, and you're welcome to do it with me. If you have frankincense or any oil. So I have 2 kids. So it is often happening when they're screaming or they're fighting or stuff is going on. And so ideally, if you can find yourself in a comfortable seated position, but if you can't, I totally understand. And all I do is I take my oil, so frankincense, I put a drop in my hand, I rub it together, and I close my eyes, and I take 3 deep inhales of the aroma. And with each inhale, I'm just noticing, where does the frankincense travel to in my body? What thoughts or images or colors come up when I smell the frankincense? And then I just love this visualization of roots going down into the earth out of my feet. And my spirit kind of going up into the sky, connecting with my higher power or the universe. Just the great magic of it all. And then I put the excess maybe in my hair, on my shoulders, anywhere that my body is calling out. I really try to trust that. And look, that was like less than 60 seconds. And do you feel different? Put it in the chat if you feel I feel different. It's just kind of an instant like aromatic bath.
I feel different, and I used frankincense at the beginning of the call, and I'm like, wow, feel different. Yeah.
It's just that moment of connecting with yourself, connecting with the earth, connecting with your higher power, and connecting with the aroma. It really resets me. So
something I've been doing too that's been really helping is just in these winter months, I run pretty cold. You can see I'm bundled up here. And so I have my heater on in my house, pretty warm. And I have just been running a humidifier. So our humidifier with our oils in it. And I used to just do that in my bedroom, you know, if I was sick or something, but I've just been doing that as my diffuser in my living room, and people come in and they're like, that is a really huge diffuser. And I'm like, I know, well, it's a humidifier. And so that is something that I did last night, and we got our Christmas tree. And so I put frankincense in it and wild orange, and I had the humidifier running. And I really love that. I had a sad week with the loss of a pet. And so my intention was just to reset my house for some more joy. I wanted to invite in more joy. And so that aromatherapy, having the moisture in the air and that really dry heat, and then decorating really cheered me up. I also turned on I like Christmas music. So that was beautiful, adding that aromatherapy in. I know that a lot of people I've talked to, if you do celebrate Christmas or whatever, any holiday that you celebrate, just appreciate some kind of practice in the winter time to bring in more joy, to have things light up, to bring in the warmth in a cold season. So that's another thing you can do, is definitely diffuse in the holidays. And there are so many great frankincense blends. It blends really well with so many things.
Yeah, I'd like to add, well, Erin's getting a yummy beverage. The energetics, we want to talk about, you know, frankincense and adding that on with the joy and working with a mood or a tone or a shift. Frankincense, you really, one of the reasons you want to have it around is it's the oil you want to be working with and helping when there's a passing. You know, there's other oils we think of as well. Cypress is one of them, but frankincense is the first one. It's the main one. If that's the one oil I'm going to recommend, it's that. And it's for the people who are staying here and helping a loved one pass, and to really help energetically that energy in that transition, you know, through the passing. I know it's spoken as if you think about different traditions and forces, you can kind of distill it down to there's kind of vertical forces and there's horizontal, you know, and the horizontal is more akin to femininity, and the vertical to masculine, you know, yin, yang, or yang, yin. And frankincense is likened to that ultimate vertical force connection. And so when one is transitioning, there is that peacefulness that can happen with an ease there. So yeah, it's kind of, it should be in every you know, emergency kit and medicine kit, and one that you want to be diffusing in those situations.
Yeah, I love it. I believe it's like a wonderful oil for, I did a meditation with it at one point, and everyone in the group got just these cosmic messages, just like so beautiful. So of course we look at the history of frankincense and it being, used as an incense in temples and churches historically for thousands of years. And I love its connection to translating to dying and to also being born. And it's just that reminder of that life is a cycle, right? And I love what you said, Josie, because it's so wonderful for the person who is in that cycle of dying. And then also we're in a state right now where we're having a huge problem with caregivers just being burnt out after the pandemic. And there is so much fatigue from our doctors and our nurses and our mothers and just all the people that have been holding space in caregiving in some capacity that can have a lot of names on it. And so if that is you or a loved one, just bringing in frankincense to help, to support, like if someone's going, if there's a family going through a death, I know that losing a pet is really huge. And so just having a diffuser running, these ways that we can, it doesn't stop the pain, but it's a way to support and ease one another. And when we love people, right, it's a way to bring in a tool to say, I got your back. I'm going to help with this situation here,
I often use oils for that change of attitude and something when you struggle with anxiety or depression. A really great thing is to do the opposite of what you do. And the oils have always been a really good like pattern interrupt for me. But I don't think there is an oil that does it as well as frankincense. There really is something about the smell that just, it lights up all my brain centers is what it feels like. And it immediately brings me to a state of like spiritual connection, because it does have that long history of being used in churches and temples and such a strong spiritual connection. But just something to notice, which essential oil is it for you that you can smell, and it kind of just realigns all your energy centers and brings you out of your funk and lets you see clearly. For me, it's definitely frankincense is the strongest at that. I love it, by the way. One of my favorite companion oils to frankincense is peppermint. When you put peppermint and frankincense together, they smell really good. I love them in a hot cup of water with tea. The aroma is really just beautiful and kind of lights me up. Very good after meditation when you're kind of trying to come back after a deep yoga class. So I love frankincense and peppermint together.
Well, I have my favorite Frankie things. I think Asha McLaughlin is on the Facebook, and she wanted to remind everyone she loves holiday peace. I love it too. That blend is so wonderful, and frankincense, so many trees in there, is definitely in there. Two of my favorite frankincense recipes, I would be remiss if I did not mention the trifecta. We have a whole, probably longer than an hour, but at least an hour-long webinar from the old days when we would stand up and have a PowerPoint and have an in-person whole presentation of Dr. Mika Carew and Will Wan and myself on the trifecta, which is frankincense, copaiba, and Siberian fir. So go look that up in our Visionary Leader or Essential Wellness websites. We have it. And those three together, there's so much action going on. Delicious as in just 1 to 2 drops of each in a mug as a morning tea. I know Dr. Mika's team, pretty much they all start their day out that way with the trifecta in warm water for a tea. You can make it up beforehand and take it. It is, it's basically good for everything. It's just, and one of my oldest, I think I always mention this, it gets lost. It's from one of our old beloved teachers, Dr. Sue Lawton, and it was in her book that you can't buy anymore. So I hate to dangle it in front of people, but if you can find it, it's one of the best books. I've learned so much from this, is that living healthy and happily ever after. I think it's one of her first chapters and it's for mental clarity and sort of everything we've talking about. And it's the combination of frankincense, Roman chamomile, and wild orange. And those three together still remains my absolute favorite diffusing blend. And I think she has specific amounts. It's like 2-3-1 or something. I just, just aim for 1 drop and see how many you get of each of those, and you're fine. Don't stress about it.
Dr. Sue is awesome. She's still around. She's on the underground.
Yes.
But we get shares from her every once in a while.
And then
I put the webinar in the chat, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Thanks, Erin. And I just wanted to say from another book, Essential Emotions, which is a great book if you love the energetic and emotional uses of the oils. In this book, frankincense is known as the oil of truth. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I do like this, which is frankincense supports in creating a healthy attachment with one's father. It assists in spiritual awakening and helps individuals feel the love of the divine. When they have felt abandoned or forgotten, frankincense reminds them that they are loved and protected. While this oil is incredibly powerful, it's also gentle, like a loving father who nurtures, guides, and protects. And so we can think of our actual father, right? But we can also think of what we crave from father energy. And it mentioned it here, father energy is our protector. It's someone who has our back. So I've lost my father. And so, bringing in that energy, there's times when I just want my dad, but he's not here. So, that's a way that we can help our bodies, help our beings have some support. I love using frankincense to remind myself that I'm supported. If anyone struggles, I've struggled with this on a trauma feeling of just not feeling safe, feeling like, oh my gosh, the bottom is going to drop out on me. I have to brace for the next big catastrophe. If anybody's brain works like mine has in the past, try frankincense and try using it daily to see if that shifts for you. So something that I do with frankincense, if I go into that state of mind of like, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart, is I just do what we've done. I just rub it in my hands. I take a deep inhale. And then what's great is if we focus on the exhale when we do that, I'm going to actually exhale. It's in our exhale that our nervous system calms down. And our inhale, it gets energized. And our exhale, it relaxes. So the inhale will come naturally, but really focus on a nice, beautiful, long exhale. And I love these tips that we have, because so many of us struggle of what do I do? And I'm saying, of course, to do this in a moment when you are actually safe in your environment, but your brain is maybe telling you don't feel safe, right? It's a big difference if you're actually not safe in the environment in the moment you're in. So just another way. And some other great companion oils in this book are listed: Melissa, Manuka, Myrrh, Litsea, Roman chamomile, and yarrow palm. I have not used frankincense and yarrow palm together, but my brain is going, why not? I might just put some drops of Frankie in my yarrow palm bottle after this call, because I think it'd be a gorgeous addition.
Yeah, well, we haven't really talked about that, and so good to remind everybody that frankincense is excellent for your skin. And it's going to help to reduce fine lines and wrinkles. And it would be a beautiful addition to your yarrow palm, or you can make your own face serums. I love to use carrot seed oil for its kind of sun protectant qualities. I love rose hip oil. Sometimes I just use olive oil, sometimes sesame oil. There's so many carrier oils that are good for your skin, so you can be playing around with frankincense and carrier oils. Frankincense is also a really good one to have on hand if you have pets. There's so many times I've used frankincense with my pets, and here Virginia is saying she puts a drop or two of Frank, Copaiba, and DDR in her dog food. She has an 11-year-old, 65-pound pit bull with mast cell tumors, and it's helped her quite a bit. My 16-year-old Australian Shepherd has gotten some growths on her skin, and I'll put the frankincense on it. I've used it in cats when cats can get, like those abscesses pretty easily when they get cut. And great on hot spots. And it's a really good oil to have around with animals and kids. Both my babies got frankincense on their crown chakra the moment they were born. I have video of their dad putting frankincense on the babies and on me right after they were born. So it's beautiful for babies and new mamas. Such a great oil. Anybody else have? And oh, we're at the end of, lost track of time. Frankincense made us lose track of time. But anybody have any last frankincense thoughts before we close up for the day?
I've been using it for the last week with my, I put two, well, I aim for one, but sometimes I get two drops with my lotion in the morning, and I can totally see a difference. My skin is so soft. I started probably Thursday last week, so it's not even been a week, and I can see a difference already.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
It smells so good.
I
So
have one
this is
more.
the time of year. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, one more. It's more of a first aid remedy. So a few days ago, I had gotten a new what's called a score, which is like a double-edged razor blade for scoring your bread for when you're making sourdough. And it was in a very compact little container, plastic container, and I was trying to figure out how to get it open. And when I pulled it open, I actually cut my thumb and my finger with this blade. So immediately I went to the sink and rinsed it out with water, put Melaleuca on it first, and I just poured it on. And then I poured frankincense on that baby. And I'm telling, I don't have to have Band-Aid anymore. It's just amazing and doesn't even hurt. So always remember, when in doubt, frank it out.
So true.
Yep. It will help stitch up a fresh wound.
Yeah, and that's what I kept thinking. I know that this is gonna close this back up. So, and it did, and it is doing a beautiful job. And like I said, it doesn't hurt at all. So
It's definitely a good one for your first aid kit. So here's the strategy, everyone. You get a bottle of frankincense for every 200 PV order. So your loyalty rewards order, definitely do one. But if you are anything like me and you order a little bit more than $200 a month, do 2 orders. And if you are building a doTERRA business, be strategic with your team for power of 3 bonuses and rank advancement, and basically get as many 200 PV orders as you possibly can so that you can stock up on that frankincense.
Oh, and wait a minute. And if you are on loyalty rewards, definitely do it by the 15th, because you'll also get balsam fir, which, let me tell you, y'all, you can't, that's a one time, this once a year. And that oil is divine. Oh my God. It's my favorite oil in the sauna and diffusing. It's so yummy. You do not want to miss the balsam fir.
It's
so
good.
Yeah.
And then you could order Douglas fir too at 10% discount. And you could have like a whole forest in a box arrive at your door, you know.
And I just want to, if we're just going to throw out little things, there's so many. Are they still available, the little stocking stuffers? There's these like on sale stocking stuffer items that are such great little deals. And y'all, if you haven't seen that Malama collection, That's the blend that's so beautiful, the oil with the hand cream and the soap. I got the hand cream and oh my God, I was visiting my mama and it's like in love with that hand cream. The hand cream is amazing. And the box it comes in is so gorgeous. And it looks like from the fancy stores that you go to. There's this one candy store when I visit Julie in Hawaii that it's the most gorgeous presentations. It looks like it comes from that store. It's like, trust me on this, it's a great gift. If you're looking for holiday gifts in that price range and giving to someone, it's like, that's a really nice one.
I have a quick question about this promotion. Do you know if it's international? Because I'm building a team in France.
It's going to change depending on the country. So
Yeah.
there's usually promotions in each country, but you have to check the country. I know Japan's, but I don't know France's. So yes, it probably is not the same.
Okay, thank you.
It might be, but we have to check for Europe and France. Yeah.
I
All right,
have
friends.
my Malama collection in the mail. I'm really excited.
Yay. So next week, please join us. We have a special guest, Jake Reese from doTERRA. He's one of the head marketing directors over there, and he's going to come and give us the vision of doTERRA's future, which will be so great to hear. And if we have time, we're also going to talk about mocktail recipes for the holidays using essential oils. So we hope you join us next Monday. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.